peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? I'm gonna try to be wise today. So, in my effort to exercise wisdom, I go to the book of Proverbs a lot. And one of the reasons I go there a lot is because I am not wise. I want to be wise. I have a desire to be able to judge situations rightly and use some discernment, some discretion, and have wisdom. So, what better book to go to than the book of Proverbs? In the social media climate we have now, this cancel culture is crazy. So, what should we think about it? I'm going to tell you what I think about this from a Bible perspective as a believer. Start with a story. So, I listened to a guy who is, I'd say he's more of a leftist, center left, but he's fair. I don't always agree with him. He's not always right, but I think he's fair. It's a guy named Tim Pool. As far as news, I think him and a few other people are probably some of the more fair and balanced, so to speak, people to watch and listen to as far as news is concerned. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think he's pretty fair. So he has a podcast he does later on in the day, 2 hours, is him, his producer, I can't remember her name, and Adam, which is the other host. Adam is, I guess you'd consider him, they talked about it on the show, I can't remember if it was yesterday or today, I just watched the video today. A default leftist, he voted for Obama. He decided he was gonna vote for Trump. It was actually, I watched the episode where he talked about this. Him and Tim Pool both of them went on rants. It's actually pretty good. And he gave his reasons why, which I believe are solid reasons. They put that video up on YouTube. I guess it got millions of views. Other people posted and shared it. Facebook, I'm sorry. Facebook deleted the video. Very strange what these social media companies are doing. It's almost as though they want you to think a certain way and don't want you to hear the opposing view. Why don't they want you to hear the opposing view? What are they afraid of? What do they think is going to happen if you hear a viewpoint that's not your own? Maybe their narrative collapses? Probably some questions you should ask. Let's get into this. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, I'm going to read verse 24 through 20 or 23 to 25. These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that saith unto the wicked, Thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. So, social media censorship. Where do I stand? In the United States, we have the right to free speech constitutionally. That right to free speech doesn't necessarily run contrary to the Bible. Now, the Bible does give guidelines to how a Christian should behave as far as speech, what we should say and not say, or how we should say things, how we should present ourselves. But the country having a right to freedom of speech is not, anti-Bible. Let's put it that way. So I can stand by that. All right. So freedom of speech, that's a good thing. I'm for it. What these social media companies are doing is they only respect speech from one angle. And that's what I don't rock with. Because the Bible says it is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. A lot of these social media platforms, they will put up or they will allow videos of extreme left-wing groups, whether it be extremists who are within the BLM organization, and they do have extremists, whether it be extremists who are in Antifa, which all I've seen from Antifa, I'm just telling you, all I've seen, all of them are extremists. That's just me. Maybe they're not all extremists. I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen, everything I've seen, I've never seen anything but extremes from Antifa. Now, that's not to say that there's not extreme groups on the right, but let's look at how social media labels and judges these things, and I'll tell you why I don't support the way social media does these things. And as I said, I always try to filter. I try to filter everything I think and every position I hold through the Bible if I can, because if I'm standing on the Bible, I'm standing on solid ground. It doesn't matter what's going on around me. I'm solid. And the Bible says in Proverbs 24:23, it is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. I remember when the Proud Boys were really big, doing their thing, really big. And the biggest criticisms the Proud Boys got is primarily for things they said. I'm not saying they never had any actions where they could have handled things differently, but the judgments from social media platforms toward the Proud Boys was primarily based on what they said. And the thing I didn't like about the angle social media took is what social media did is they labeled the Proud Boys as neo-Nazis, white nationalists. And I know this for a fact because I looked this up. There was members of the Proud Boys who were black, who were Hispanic. So I was like, that's odd. How is this neo-Nazi organization? And they have all of these different nationalities. And anyway, that's neither here nor there. Things they don't want you to pay attention to. Right? So they came down hard on this group. There was an altercation, I remember, it was somewhere in New York between Proud Boys and Antifa. I watched the whole video. Antifa, they were the instigators. Now, were there words being said back and forth? Could it have been handled differently? Yes, but the problem I'm having with this, and I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to quote this verse. I'm not saying that the Proud Boys are a righteous organization, but I'm going to show you what social media is doing, and they do this to people that I would say have I don't know these people personally, but I would say people who do have righteous causes, right? Social media definitely has a slant. So I'm going to quote the verses again. These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that saith unto the wicked, Thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and good blessings shall come upon them. What I see from these social media platforms is they celebrate, they applaud, and they push forth the basis of what we have to offer as a country as far as the United States. I don't know what they push or don't push in other countries. I live in the United States, and I know the videos, the posts, the ideas that are pushed most and celebrated most within these social media companies are the most debased ideas, debased videos, like things that you would never think in a million years would have been celebrated. Like, for instance, I remember there was this story of this little kid. They called him a drag kid. Ridiculous. Video was out of him at this, I guess it was a gay club with drag queens. The kid is like 7, 8, maybe. I'm not gonna mention the kid's name. I don't want to do that. But this video was all over social media, being celebrated, propagated, sent everywhere. Boom, one place, another place, never taken down. Didn't violate anything. The kid was pretty much at a bar stripping, pretty much. That's what the kid was doing, and carrying himself in a very sexual manner before grown men. Social media had no problem with that. But this guy on Tim Pool's podcast, Adam, says that, hey, I'm going to vote for Trump. This is why I'm going to vote for Trump. These are my reasons. That video is deleted. A man giving his opinion on his views is deleted, but a kid being celebrated in a very sexually exploitive manner before grown men, there was no problem with that. That video was all over these social media platforms, and the story was celebrated, and there was no problem with that. But a man sharing his views, these social media platforms had a problem with. Let me read it again. These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that saith unto the wicked, Thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to him that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. I was talking about that story with Antifa and the Proud Boys. So there was an altercation, and there were words shared. Could it have been handled differently by both parties? Absolutely. There was words thrown back and forth. There was a fight, a scuffle ensued. It was the Proud Boys against Antifa. The Proud Boys get prison time, and they're blasted all over the media. They're blasted. Now, the Antifa dudes had on masks, so naturally, the police didn't know who they were. As far as I know, to this day, there was no charges to those dudes because Antifa, they're not gonna give up their own. They definitely hold to that no snitching code, that's for sure. But the Proud Boys were labeled and blasted and misrepresented. And this is the thing I hate about about this day when it comes to discussions about things. People assume that if you say something good about a person or you defend the person, that's a defense of everything they ever stood for. I will defend something that's worthy of defending. I don't have to like a person. It doesn't matter who I like or don't like. I'm not going to say something negatively about a person just because I don't like them. Excuse me. That's not right. That's not biblical. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. If you are correct, I don't care if I agree with what you say. I don't care if I agree with your platform or what you stand on. If you are correct, you are correct. These social media platforms are out of hand. Way out of hand. It's only a matter of time before discussing the Bible, discussing anything to do with biblical righteousness, will be banned and not allowed on all of these social media platforms. It's coming. It's coming. You might not think it is. You might think this is a joke. You might think there's no way that's going to happen. Again, let me say this again. If I would have come to you 7 months ago, 8 months ago, and told you any of what's going on right now, would you have believed me? I believe the answer to that is no. You wouldn't have believed me. Listen to me and listen to what I'm telling you. It is only a matter of time before these social media platforms ban people for talking about the Bible and or biblical righteousness. So I'm telling you guys to support other platforms. I'm not telling you to get off these platforms because I don't think we need to abandon the platforms where the conversations are happening. But just in case that happens, just in case they go to that model and they do this, get on Minds. Minds is a very great platform. Get on Parler. Parler is like Twitter, only much better. And so this is the thing that is surprising to me. Some of these platforms that are not as big as the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate platforms are actually much better. In my opinion, Parler and Gab, both 3 times better than Twitter, by far. Minds is almost like Twitter mixed with Instagram, slightly, not too much Facebook, and a hint of YouTube. But a lot of these platforms are much better. So we need to get on these platforms too. But don't abandon the conglomerates because we need to be on here talking as well. This is where the conversation is being had. But yeah, this is where I stand biblically. These social media platforms definitely out of control. We the people need to get a handle on this. We don't need the government to deal with this. People just need to stand up like, yo, if y'all look, this is where I'm at. Even if it's somebody I don't agree with, if these social media platforms are going to ban even somebody I don't agree with, I'm not standing for that. I'm not rocking with that. Let's have conversations. Let our ideas stand on their own. Stay frosty, people.